How are we doing, everybody? How are we all today? Welcome to Bread Ahead 2 p.m. IG tutorials on Instagram Live. We are streaming live from London.
London Borough Market, central London.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful day again. We've been blessed with the weather recently. I hope you are all very well. And thank you for taking the time to join us today. So, we've been spending the last 5 weeks picking out delicious recipes from mainly from my cookbook, Baking School, the Bread Ahead cookbook. So we've been studying a lot of recipes in here. Today we are making a recipe that is not in the book, it's in our ebook one, the carrot cake. And this is the recipe you want. So it's funny because I've had a few recipes throughout my life. And you know when you get those recipes and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and it's so frustrating and it's like, you know, really annoying. This solves all of your problems. So basically I'm going to show you this carrot cake that is absolutely foolproof. It just works every single time. It is just like, it is the best carrot cake I've ever had.
Could you please remind people that we have launched our NHS mission?
Erica. Yeah, so today, very important day. So first and foremost, because of, you know, very relevant to the times we're in of COVID-19 and this nightmare scenario for so many people, we have launched a campaign to support the NHS. So the form of the campaign is, we have written an ebook about sourdough bread and eating sourdough. So it's staged over 7 days, and basically it's how to make sourdough, make it at home in a Dutch oven, a really lovely sourdough loaf. And then there's 5 recipes throughout the week of, you know, different recipes of things to do with the sourdough. Really lovely comfort food. 5
recipes or 7 recipes?
There's 5. So you spend the first 2 days making the bread. And lovely, I mean, simple stuff, you know, like beans on toast with grated cheddar cheese and Tabasco, and, you know, really delicious comfort food. The download is for free. You can have it for nothing. It's on our website, and there is also linked to that a Just Giving page for the NHS if you can give something. So that's what we're asking today.
And people donating quite actively. I'm impressed.
Really good. We've been live for 2 hours, and I think we're about over 20% of our target. I hope, to be honest, I want to smash the target, you know. I want you to smash the target.
We're going to increase the target, I think.
Yeah.
Let's increase the target with your help.
Yeah, let's just do it, you know. Let's do something amazing, you know, because these guys, I mean, we take food to them every day, actually, from here, anything we have. And we also distribute around London every day to different hospitals. So,
but it's not. I was going through the comments, and it's nice to see that people, even from different jurisdictions, not only based in UK, are donating.
Yeah.
So it's just really just wants to just makes me cry. It's just so emotional.
Yeah, lovely.
It's just so. Thank you very much. Oy.
Yeah.
I got so emotional.
Good work, world. Of course, we have the world map behind here. I'm sure a lot of you will be from all over that map, and that's our intention right now, is to cover the map in this global baking community that we're building. Amazing. So let's get on with our recipe so we can get things in the oven, because there's always a bit of time taken up here. So the carrot cake. Now, trust me when I say this absolutely is the recipe you want for the rest of your life. You don't, any other recipe you've got, throw it away. This is the one that works. It is, and trust me, I've been a pastry chef and a chef all of my working life. And occasionally throughout your career, you stumble on these recipes, you know, through many different ways, and you just find one, and it's, oh my God, this is just it, you know. It's fantastic. It's so simple. 150 grams of soft brown sugar. If you haven't got soft brown, you can use caster or demerara, or actually dark brown. 2 large eggs, those scaled 120 grams. A large egg's about 60 grams. 150 grams of veg oil, plain veg oil, sunflower oil, rapeseed oil, peanut oil, you've got it, you know, frying oil, flora oil. Basically you whisk up the sugar and the eggs, you add the oil. We'll go through that stage in a moment. This is about the recipe. 150 grams of white flour, either plain or strong, it doesn't matter, but not self-raising. Half a teaspoon of bicarb, half a teaspoon of baking powder, half a teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of ginger. Salt, a nice pinch of salt, and a little dash of vanilla. Vanilla essence or vanilla paste. And then at the end you've got 150 grams of grated carrot and 50 grams of walnuts. I put the plus because, to be honest, if I'm making it for myself, I put in some extra. Put 100 grams in it, got a load in there, it's lovely. There's something about the flavour of a walnut, when it just really works with this as well. It's better than any other nut. You can use hazelnuts and almonds, but there's something about a walnut, just the way it eats, they get lovely and moist inside the cake. The other additions you can put in that are really nice are some grated apple, like half an apple grated in is lovely, and also sultanas work really well. I'm not going to do that today, but they really sort of give something to it. The sultanas kind of plump up and get really juicy in there. So that's the basic recipe. It's on our website today. If you want the recipe, just go on there. It's in our ebook 1. We've then got the cream cheese frosting. Now this is actually the original recipe. We do actually put a little bit less sugar in it. So the original recipe is 300 sugar, 50 grams of butter, 125 Philly cheese, Philadelphia cheese.
Philly cheese, Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, yeah, so everybody says Philly cheese now. And a squeeze of lemon. Like I say, you can halve that amount of icing sugar. It's an American recipe, so it's really intense and really full on flavours. There it is. Now we're going to turn to the workbench. And
Shall we turn on our oven, or it's not necessary?
Yeah, first thing actually.
First thing, always turn on your oven.
First thing, put the oven on. I'm going to put 170 to 180, depending on how your oven runs. I'm going to go for 180, just knowing this oven. And I also try and speed things up for the tutorial so that I get a finished product. I put it on 185, look, there we are. That's going to be fine. Lovely.
People can say, hello. Hello.
Hello, world.
Hello, world. Well, we have more than 1,000 students online, Matthew.
Good
So
on you, everybody. Well, I really appreciate you guys coming along, and what's lovely is that I can see by the numbers on here that a lot of people you follow right the way through to the end.
Well, I think they're cooking together with you.
It's
Just
really
baking
good.
up.
It means a lot to us as a business and personally. So, first things first. Here's the ingredients. I've got let's have a look. Let's get them in order. So, I've got my carrots, they're grated, and I've got my walnuts. I've been actually super generous with walnuts today, but I'm using this vanilla today. This is a really good quality vanilla essence. It's like a vanilla extract.
Can we use vanilla powder?
Yeah, a little bit of vanilla powder is good. Pretty much, as I said before on this, putting proper vanilla in pretty much any cake is always a good idea. It's just a lovely substance for baking with. I've got some salt, I've got some baking powder, I've got some bicarb of soda, I've got my cinnamon and ginger.
Brown ginger.
Yeah, if you want to use different spices, you can. You can use a bit of allspice, a bit of mace, a bit of nutmeg. They're all nice in here. Nutmeg's lovely, These are the two that we've chosen for our recipe. I've got fresh ginger. I've got my flour. This is actually just a strong white baking flour that I've got, our Premier from the bakery, as we call it. That's 2 eggs in there, vegetable oil, and the soft brown sugar.
Okie dokie.
Quite a lot of ingredients actually, isn't it? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 ingredients in here.
You need a massive table.
Yeah, there we go. There they all are. So I think I'll whisk it by hand today because
Cup of tea,
it's a
mint
nice
tea.
thing to do. You've got a little electric whisking machine. They're great. For this, they're great. Just doing it by hand, I'll be honest with you, it's a bit of a pain. But I like to stay connected,
So you are mixing your egg with
Egg and sugar.
and sugar. Okay.
I'm just going to keep going. Just keep going. We're in this together.
Cheers.
That's quite difficult to do, to whisk and drink a cup of tea at the same time. Wouldn't really try that much. Lovely colour, isn't it? Beautiful.
Okie dokie.
Better.
Keep whisking, keep whisking.
It's good to count to 200 when you whisk. I find generally if you want to hard whip something, cream or egg white, 200 whips. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You do it in like batches of 10, so 20 times 10, and it kind of makes it a bit more manageable. Okay, I'm happy with that. Nice and pale. You've got a nice bit of aeration through the sabayon, as we would call it. So the next stage, now I'm very simply going to add in the oil. Don't chuck it all in at once. It's a bit like you're making mayonnaise. So you just whisk it in little by little. So you're emulsifying the fat. Very good. We're in. Oven top. So that's what you're looking for. You see the way that's all incorporated. So there's no oil in the bottom. It's all mixed in a nice, smooth, homogeneous paste, or sort of sabayon, as we would call it.
Zabaglione in Italian.
So that's the first, and that's probably the most crucial part of this mixing, is to get that bit right. So really thoroughly whisk up your eggs and your sugar. But if you're doing it on a machine, it's a whole load easier, because you can stick it on the machine for like 5 minutes, forget about it, and you get a nice stiff egg white, and then you can just add the oil in. You won't over whisk it if you do it on the machine. You can leave it on 5-10 minutes, you'll be fine. So next we're going to look at the dry ingredients. We'll get those ready.
dry cinnamon. We're going to use cinnamon and ground ginger.
And I've got, where's my sieve? Okay. So I've got my flour. Now into here I'm going to put half a teaspoon baking powder, soda, cinnamon, ginger.
Okay.
Half of each. So just half a teaspoon like that. Half a teaspoon. Generous with the cinnamon, I love it. And the ginger, you know, I actually go a little bit generous with that, it's quite nice. And then you sieve those through.
Why do we need to sieve it?
Well, one, it will give you a slightly lighter cake, but also it will just take out any little surprises, any little lumps of bicarbonate of soda, for example. They're not very nice if you get a little clump of it, you know. Now, then you put your salt in, because your salt can be a bit too coarse to go through the sieve. Now, the pinch of salt, a nice pinch, not, you know, a proper size pinch, half a teaspoon pinch. Sieved ingredients. All at the ready.
Look at that zabaglione.
And then you've got your grated carrot and your walnuts. Now these are half walnuts, so what I'll do is just give them a little chop.
So we grate fresh carrots, not boiled.
Yeah, grated, yeah, fresh. Yeah,
Fresh, yeah.
Raw carrot.
Raw carrots.
Yeah. And if you've got a little bit of juice that comes out of the carrots, put everything in. Yeah, you want to keep all that. So I'm just going to slightly chop up these walnuts so they're nice and...
In Lithuania, when I lived in Lithuania, I used to buy, you know, salad and made of carrot, fresh carrot, with sultanas and nuts, and a little bit of oil,
So
and a little bit.
You add some flour and some egg and you will have a carrot cake.
Yeah, but we have that salad. I just remembered.
Nice.
Yeah.
Lovely. Grated raw carrot is lovely. Okay. Now what I'm going to do, I've got 100 grams of walnuts there, so I'm going to keep some for the topping. I'll stick most of them in there, and I'll keep a few back just to decorate the top with. So then in my bowls here, I've got 3 bowls now. I've got the sabayon mix, the egg, the sugar and the oil. I've got the dry ingredients, and I've got the carrot and the walnuts. 1, 2, 3. And now, very simply, my little spatula. First of all, that goes in there. And then that goes in as well. Basically, you just combine everything together. You just gently mix it all around.
Is it an English traditional cake, or is it some?
I think it's American.
Where is it coming from? Is that?
American. But in England, we've got a very similar one called a garden cake that's made with grated courgette. It's actually very nice as well. But there's something about the carrot that gives that lovely sweetness. You know, it's like a savoury sweetness. I mean, the flavour certainly really works. That's it, just all mixed together. And now, getting a piece of bacon parchment. You can bake it in any tray you want. You can bake it in a round tin, square tin, and a lid. I'm going to use this little tin. I quite like doing it in a tray. You can do it in a loaf tin. But the thing that's nice about a tray is you get that nice ratio of when you put the filling on top, the frosting, you you get a thick layer of frosting in a piece of cake, because you actually want quite a lot of frosting. It plays a really important role when you eat the carrot cake. You know, that lot of frosting with cake. You know, proper sort of portion. So what I do is cut the bit of paper. I just sort of eyeball it. Just roughly right size.
And if we don't have parchment paper, should we oil the tray?
Yeah, you can oil and a little flour, or you can use a butter paper, or use a non-stick tray. It'll work fine. You can use a springform, you know, like a springform round tray, they work really well. They're very simple. I'm going to drop this in. There. In it goes. Mondays afternoons have never been so good. I reckon this one will cook in about, now we say the cooking time between 20 and 25. In a flat tray like this, I would guess this would cook in a little less, maybe about 18 minutes, so quite a quick baking time.
So you always need to observe the cooking process.
Everybody's oven's different.
So basically you need to sit in front of the oven and meditate.
I put my oven on a little bit faster just because I'd like to speed this process up, but I would recommend for you at home to go for about 170, 175. I'll put this on for 15 and see how we go.
Okay.
There we go. Next, we are going to have a look at the cream cheese frosting.
But if you are at home, you bake at 170
Yeah, I recommend 175.
for 20 and
20,
between 20 and
25
25 minutes. Okay.
I've actually got one that I baked earlier.
Sneaky Matthew.
I like to be organised. Can you see this one here? There we are. That's what you're looking for. Lovely and square in the tin. Lovely and soft and spongy. There we are.
Ooh, so soft.
Yeah, it's delicious. Because you do need to let this cool down before you put your frosting on. So, let's take a look at the frosting. Now, take a little look at the frosting. Now, I'm going to make the frosting in the machine because...
Because why?
Why not? Because the machines are great for this. So, in my bowl here, I've got the... and I have actually reduced, like I said, I've reduced slightly the amount of sugar. I've put 200 cloud of sugar.
Oh.
It's a sweet recipe.
Ooh.
But there is something about that real sort of sweetness as well, you know, with carrot cake. Come on, let's face it, a carrot cake is a pretty naughty thing, you know. Squeeze a lemon. I'll just put that on the little macchinetta. And she goes.
And for how many minutes?
Well, first of all, you don't put the Philadelphia in yet. So just the butter, the icing sugar, and the lemon. Put it on here. Start on a slow speed, otherwise you fill your entire house with a cloud of icing sugar. Slow speed to start, and then we'll whisk it up. So first things first, let's have a look in the bowl, see what's going on.
Ooh, I love machines. Feeling.
Okay, now you've reached that stage, now we'll turn it up. Turn up the volume. Now it's really important to get this completely smooth. So what I do is take out the whisk, take the bowl off the machine, and scrape the whole thing around like this, because you don't want any lumps of butter in there. It's very important you get the butter and the icing sugar completely smooth. There we go. Back onto full speed. So it's gone completely white in there. Okay, you see how it's completely white? That's a really important stage of this. So at this stage in there, you've got to make sure there's absolutely no lumps of butter. None. Zero. Because once you fold in the cream cheese, you can't remove the lumps of butter. And then you have to over-mix it, and then it will change the properties of the cream cheese, and then it will become a runny frosting. So, you know, there are these little critical points when you're doing these things that you really do need to pay attention to. That's why these video-style tutorials are really useful, because it's the only way. You can't really show this in a book. You know, I need to show you this so you can see that. If you look at that texture inside here, it's completely smooth. Now that is what you want. It's completely, yeah. And now, only then do you add in your Philadelphia cheese. In it goes, all of it. And now, with the spatula, you stir it through. Don't do it on the machine, you'll over-mix it. And you just stir it enough to break it, to mix it through, so it's completely smooth. Careful not to over mix it, because it will become runny. There we go, just like that. And now I put that in the fridge to set.
For how long?
We'll need about an hour. Basically, by the time the cake's cooled down, that'll be ready to go on top of the cake. So let that set in the fridge. Basically, the butter in there will make it go nice and firm. I've also got one I prepared earlier. So now, let's have a look in the oven. Let's have a look. I won't open the oven door yet, because I don't want to tempt fate. But I think what we'll do now is we'll return to my first one that I baked earlier, and we can have a look at that. So you can see that it's broken away slightly from the edge of the tin there. That's a good sign. It's a good indicator that it's nicely baked. Okay, so what I'll do now is just tip this out carefully, like so. Whoops, like that. Just take away the greaseproof paper.
Spongy.
Yeah, it's really light. It's a really light, moussey sponge, this. Trust me, once you bake this recipe, you will share this with everybody you know. And you'll say, look, those guys at Bread Ahead have just shown me the best carrot cake recipe ever. Right, now we're going to do the cream cheese frosting. Now, the easiest way to put this on is to use a piping bag, because otherwise there is a danger that you can damage the surface of your beautiful cake, because it's quite delicate. So, what I will do, piping bag.
Look how spongy. Beautiful.
Here is my cream cheese frosting. I made this one earlier just to give it time to set in the fridge, get nice and cold. Just take a moment to do this really nicely.
Very luxurious Monday
Oh, it's lovely.
for us.
I mean, you know. I don't know how many calories in this, but it's a lot.
Who cares?
And then we just take off quite a large piece off the end here, sort of the size that you get your big finger through the hole. So quite a generous bit. You can see the texture of that. It's firm, but not fridge cold. If you leave it in there 24 hours, it's going to get quite stiff. So you need to take it out for half an hour just to get it a bit looser. See, this is nice and pliable. And the way we do it is just to pipe it directly across the cake. Might take up a little bit more. Just open the bag a little bit more. It's just to go across like this. There we go. So you go across. Nice neat sort of stripes across the cake. You should get it just about right, that you get the right amount of. There we go.
Okay.
So plenty of frosting on top. I've left it, you get used to the frosting, but yeah, you can see anyway, that's what we're looking for. You can then just sort of tidy up the edges and that, just tidy that up. Tidy that up. And then finally, a nice bit of grated walnut, or chopped walnut rather, on top. There we go. And that's what we do. you go and hide somewhere in a little corner of the house and with a nice cup of tea.
And eat it all.
Have a nice time. Really, that's how it works. It's good, isn't it?
Are you going to eat it now?
Yeah, I think we should have a slice. What do you reckon, Aaron?
Of course.
So I mean, this is a generous cake, a nice sized cake, and I would say that's, easily a cake for at least 4 people. There we go. Not cut right through there. And then I'll just get myself a little plate. I'll sit on it. Cut a nice generous slice like that. There we go. Look at it. Isn't that wonderful? Just get all those little bits on there.
I want to show this is what we are looking at.
It just looks ridiculous, doesn't it? Absolutely
Excuse my naughtiness.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Pleading guilty, Your Honour.
Or you can cut it into a more and this is a super fresh cake, so it's very, it's all sort of falling apart in here. I wouldn't do this in the bakery downstairs ever, but up here we're allowed.
Okay, I'm turning the
Wonderful.
comments on.
There are some things in this world that are simply divine. You can't beat it, you can't reinvent this stuff. It's like, this is such a classic thing when it's done properly. You will never want another recipe. Everything about that is wild. Messy meat. Look at that. Right in there. Crazy. Look at the colour of it, the textures, everything about it. Wicked.
Well, if you, of course, are allergic to nuts, you can just leave them out. It's just not a
I'm
compulsory.
just going to turn this around in the oven. Yeah, that's puffed up nicely. Yeah, nice and golden. I'm going to give that. That was 15 minutes. What I'll do now, I'll put that on for. I'll turn my oven actually down slightly now. I'll go 170. And I'm going to put that on for another 4 minutes. So that would have been 19 minutes in my oven. But I'm guessing that if you go the whole way through on the suggested 170 temperature, you're going to be 20 to 24 minutes, something like that. But to give you an idea, that's the colour you're looking for.
So can you give the measurements of this tin?
Yeah, this is actually the
It's a tray,
like
not
the
tin.
perfect tin to do it in. And this is, I always have a ruler now, it's really helpful I think. So the internal measurements of the pan is 20 across by 20 by 30. So it's basically like the size of an A4 piece of
You
paper.
forgot to put vanilla.
Oh, it's still nice. It will only be nicer with vanilla. Thank you very much. I do that. It's quite nerve-wracking sometimes doing live baking in front of 1,000 people.
More than 1,000.
So that's how it works, guys. It really is. You know, I'm so pleased.
What oil did you use, Matthew?
We actually use a rapeseed oil. It's the same oil that we use to fry our donuts in. It's just a very clear, unflavoured oil.
And this is the same carrot cake you are selling.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. We just make it in slightly bigger tins downstairs in the bakery. We do 2 kilo tins. This mix ends up making around 800 grams. Yeah.